Universal buried a Jurassic Park sequel that would have changed everything, and the reason they killed it is something they never wanted you to know. Not shelved, not in development, greenlit, scripted, and erased. The deal was signed. The writer was paid. And then, quietly, one of the most promising franchise chapters in Hollywood history disappeared while executives smiled for the cameras. And here is the part that should make you angry. They didn't kill it because it was bad. They killed it because it was threatening something far more valuable to them than a great movie. The real reason goes all the way to the top of Universal, and it has nothing to do with dinosaurs. Here is where it starts. After Jurassic Park III landed in 2001, $368 million worldwide, profitable but not a phenomenon, Universal and Steven Spielberg sat down to figure out what the franchise did next. Spielberg still held enormous creative authority over the property, contractual leverage dating back to his original deal on the 1993 film. The studio wanted another chapter. Spielberg wanted it done right. By 2004, they had their writer. John Sayles, Academy Award nominee, the screenwriter behind 8 Men Out and Lone Star, was hired to draft a fourth installment. This was not a speculative meeting. This was not a pitch session. Universal paid Sayles to write the thing. And the direction they chose was genuinely radical. The story would move off the islands entirely, into territory no sequel had dared to touch. Sayles delivered a script. 2 drafts, actually, and the details that leaked from those rooms describe something you would not believe came from a studio franchise note. Genetically enhanced dinosaurs trained as weapons, mercenaries with raptors on their side. The film was going to interrogate what humanity actually does when it achieves the power Jurassic Park promised, and the answer was militarize it. It was dark. It was strange. And Universal's own internal notes from 2005 described it as exciting. The deal structure was real. Spielberg was attached as producer. A director shortlist existed. And hold on to this fact, because in 2005, Universal Pictures officially placed Jurassic Park IV into active development. That is the language they use when money changes hands and calendars get blocked. Active development. The trade press barely noticed. That is exactly how they wanted it, then something shifted. 2005 becomes 2006 becomes 2007 and the film simply stops moving. No announcement, no public cancellation, no press release saying the project was dead. It just goes quiet. Sayles is no longer attached. The script drafts become relics. And here is what you need to understand about Hollywood silence. It is never accidental. When a greenlit project with a signed writer and a producing legend attached goes completely dark, someone made that decision. Silence is a policy. By 2008, insiders who had been tracking Jurassic Park IV said the same thing privately. The film was gone. Not delayed. Gone. The reason they gave publicly was nothing at all, because the real reason was something they could not say out loud. Here is where the story turns. And this is the part they really buried. In 2006, Universal began quiet negotiations with Comcast Corporation. That acquisition would not close until 2011, but the strategic planning started years earlier. And inside those sessions, executives were mapping every major IP the studio owned not for films, but for something more durable: theme parks. Specifically, the transformation of Universal's resort properties into next-generation franchise worlds. Jurassic Park already had a ride. What the Parks division wanted was a fully immersive retheme, a rebranded Jurassic experience so massive it would need a corresponding film to launch it into culture. Not a strange, morally complex military thriller written by an indie auteur. A clean, off-first, family-accessible reboot that parents could watch and then immediately walk their children into. The Sayles version was a creative gamble. It could have been extraordinary. But it could not anchor a $700 million theme park expansion in Orlando. Universal traded John Sayles' signed, greenlit sequel for a synchronized movie plus park machine that eventually became Jurassic World, The Ride, and a multi-billion-dollar resort empire. They didn't cancel the sequel. They monetized around it until the sequel ceased to exist in the gap. Think about what that means for the franchise you grew up with. The sales drafts described a story where humanity's hubris with genetic engineering had gone one step further. Not we made dinosaurs and they escaped, but we made dinosaurs and then we weaponized them on purpose. That is a fundamentally different moral universe than Jurassic World delivered. The questions it would have forced about military contracts, about corporate violence, about who owns a living weapon, are questions that cut deeper than anything a theme park can sell. The franchise went wider, it never went deeper, and that was a decision made in a room you were never supposed to hear about. The real question isn't why Universal buried the sales script. It's what else is sitting in that vault. What other franchise version was quietly traded for a merger, a park deal, or one executive's ambition? And Sony has an answer to that.